Well, it is so good to be here today with Nonnie Griffin, and this is our third, what do they say, third time's a charm, right?
That's right.
So this is our third attempt at this interview. We tried twice on Skype with varying success, but here we are with a digital camera on a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful
The
Saturday.
technology let us down.
But it did, but
yeah.
I think this is gonna
work.
do well for us, so. Nonnie, it is so good to be with you today. Thank you for doing this.
Sure.
Just
My pleasure.
so wonderful to meet you and to have you on camera. You're a native of Toronto, Ontario, but you were born with a different name than Nonnie. Now tell me about how this came up.
Look, Nonnie, it's just a name that landed on me from Lorna.
It landed on you.
Yes, it did. Lorna Jean. Lorna Margaret Jean, actually.
Okay.
But Lorna Jean was the original name, Nonnie, and I simply can't get away from it. I was Margaret Griffin in the showbiz to begin with, but there was somebody in the United States, because we joined American Equity, and there was another Margaret Griffin.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I thought, well, who else is going to be called Nonnie Griffin? Nobody.
Mm.
So I decided to use it.
There's only one Nonnie Griffin.
I think so. But anyway, it's Shakespearean. When people say, that name, I say, I know. It's Shakespearean. Shakespeare used that name or that word
really?
a lot.
Oh, wow.
Sure. Sigh no more, ladies. Sigh no more. Men were deceivers ever. One foot on sea and one on shore. To one thing constant, never. Then sigh not so, but let them go. Be you blithe and bonny, converting all your songs of woe into hey, Nonnie, Nonnie.
There it is.
So it means blithe and bonny.
Okay.
I met someone who was actually christened that name.
Okay.
I was at a meeting I was chairing, and she came up and said, I wanted to talk to you because my name is Nonnie. You see, my parents loved Shakespeare. I said, oh, that's lovely. So.
Now, and I have written down here that you are also the great-granddaughter of Sir William Mackenzie, the builder of the Canadian Northern Railway.
I know.
Phenomenal.
Imagine. You know, it's the largest privately owned railway in the world.
Unbelievable.
He had so much courage.
Yeah.
And he did so much. He owns, I think, principal owner of Newfoundland Fisheries, of God knows what else, but he became immensely wealthy. But the main thing is, he was so courageous.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he did so much.
Yeah.
And he loved music.
Mm.
He sang, he was a beautiful singer.
Mm.
So he would have approved, I think, of me being in showbiz. Except the thing is, he would have bought me a theater.
Now, speaking of showbiz, many people recognizing you on cam because you have done so many things. You're in one sense, you're a Canadian icon in terms of what you've done in theater. And of course, what we're going to be talking about today is the work that you did in the 70s on Polka Dot Door. But before we get there, tell us a little bit about who Nonnie Griffin is. Tell us about your upbringing, your family, and the things that helped shape you into the wonderful woman you are today.
How long have we got?
We got 40 minutes on the tape, so.
Okay. Well, my father was a fantastic guy. Gilbert Mackenzie Griffin, yeah. He met my mother out west. He was on a survey line. He wasn't a success at university, but he was probably one of the most well-educated people I've ever known.
Mm-hmm.
He was just a Renaissance guy, you know. But he met Mother. She was just beautiful. Ukrainian.
Okay.
So he came from wealth,
Mm.
you know, because Sir William, he was the richest guy in Canada.
Huh.
But I have to tell you, people, that we were the poorest, just about, I think, because Dad could never really make big bucks. He was full of spirit. He played the pipes and everything. And Mother, she adored him. But there were 10 kids in the end. 10.
10. And where do you fall in line?
1, 2, 3, 4. I came fourth.
Fourth in line out of 10.
Fourth in line. And it was, it was a tricky kind of thing because there was so little money, folks. I think that I consider it one of the worst things that can happen to anybody is to be poor.
Mm.
But at least it gave me insight into that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was tough,
Mm-hmm.
frankly. It was tough. So Dad moved. He was always, kids, that's what he called my mother. Her name was Catherine.
Mm.
Kids, we're going to move to Bobcaygeon. It's a great place and all this
Bob
stuff.
Cajun.
Yes, we were in Bobcaygeon. We moved. Kirkfield, Ontario, which is where Sir William
Okay.
was actually born,
Gotcha.
in Kirkfield. And we lived up north in Aroma, Noranda. We lived, oh God, there were 14 moves anyway by the time I was 16.
Wow.
I went to a convent school. They were afraid that I might just not be the kind of well-bred person. So I was sent to the convent school. But it was tough because all the girls were rich and I was not. But I loved it just the same. Horses and this and that and the other. But I didn't fit in. I was poor.
Right.
So these things happened, and I had a beautiful singing voice, and my grandmother decided to send me to the conservatory, the Royal Conservatory, Toronto, to study singing, to study voice. But the thing that took over more than anything was drama. Acting is in my blood. My mother was active in the Ukrainian community. I have an ancestor back in the 1700s who was a famous actress in Ireland, Britain, really Britain, you know. So that became my thing. I lived for it, and I always did. At the convent, tons of plays. The first play where I really got to people was Round the Clock with Claire, a day in the life of a Catholic girl.
Oh.
And I played the devil. Well, I had the best part in the play. You can't imagine the dialogue. Good morning, dear angel. Morning to you. Toodly-doo, toodly-doo. That's my first line. I thought it was dumb.
It's the beginning of a remarkable career right there. Toodly-doo.
Toodly-doo. The bishop was there and he said to the head nun, that little girl should be an actress. But of course, it's not hard to steal a show when you have the best part.
That's
the
true.
funniest part. So that was how that happened. And to the conservatory and then, you know, getting out there, trying to find work. And I want to tell you folks that it's a very difficult thing to be an actress. I had to support myself. My family had no money. So God, hate to be corny, but looked after me because I made it. Not with great wealth, but I made it. I got somewhere.
Now, you mentioned that children's work has always had a special place in your heart. Why is that, Nonnie?
Because I love kids. They're so sweet. They're irresistible. They're so real. They're just adorable. I've always loved them. My little brothers, sisters. I was like a second mom, really, you know. But all kids, just to read to them and don't change it. Oh, sorry, if you read a story.
Oh, okay.
You don't change a word. Don't change it. I'm sorry.
I love the voices. That's good. That's really convincing.
I used to, you know, read to the kids and.
Would you do the voices when you read the stories to them?
Okay, sure,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Because Dad, what he read Dickens to us. I was 5. And I was just like, Daddy was an actor. And now, some people may not think that's a lot, but it takes something in your spirit, in your imagination, to become somebody else. And he played those characters in Pickwick Papers. He'd laugh, because he made himself laugh. He thought the material's so great.
Now, Nonnie.
So he made me laugh, made all of us laugh. So we were brought up with drama.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now tell us, let's shift gears here and tell us about how you were first hired by TVOntario, or then known as the OECA. Who hired you for this job for Polka Dot Door, and how did that come about? Bring us back to your earliest memories about how you were contacted about this.
I suppose it was a collaboration, the decision, but Ted Conybeare, I think he had a lot to do with it. I heard about it, and of course I could play guitar very basic, just stuff. But I could sing, I could draw.
Mm-hmm.
So these things were important. Can you draw? Yeah, draw something. So I drew. Good. Sang, they liked my voice. And of course, to entertain kids. Fabulous. I have done some kids shows on radio,
Okay.
TVC, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess they figured I was the right type.
And you had previously had some work done for TVOntario. You had done some work for TVO before.
Yes, I did.
And do you remember what that was? It was...
Castle Saremba.
Oh, okay.
Castle Saremba, which we did, was it
69, 70?
70, yeah.
70?
Yeah.
What are your memories of Ted Conybeare when you met him?
Sweet.
Mm.
Ted. Very precise about the kind of way you express yourself. No slang.
Mm.
The right kind of language, not being pedantic about it, but he was, that was a very strong point with Ted.
Now, some have suggested that TVOntario was a pioneer in leading children's education in the 1970s. Some people have gone so far to say it was a very experimental and creative time. How would you, looking back at those years on the Polka Dot Door set, how would you describe the atmosphere of TVO and the family of people that you worked with on that show?
Terrific, I think it was, yes, educational. But if you're going to educate people, don't be boring.
Mm-hmm.
So this was fun, and the kids could make things. I think the rapport was terrific.
Mm-hmm.
I could picture the kids, though we never had any kids on the show. We had Humpty Dumpty, Bear, and Marigold.
Yeah.
Of course, big
And then
toys.
Polkaroo, of course, as well.
Polkaroo, absolutely. But,
Did you ever have to wear the Polkaroo costume?
Oh, are you kidding? Me?
Yeah.
Polkaroo, Polkaroo.
They
I
left
never
that,
wanted to put it on.
they left that to
You
your
just
counterpart.
squish that thing over your head. And I used to just die of the heat.
The heat inside,
Yeah,
yeah.
Dennis Simpson. I remember
Yeah.
how tough it was. But no, I never put that on.
Who were some of the personalities that had the largest impact on you while you were working on the show?
You mean behind the scenes?
Behind the scenes, yeah. Do you remember anyone behind the scenes?
Gladys.
Gladys.
Gladys Richardson.
Okay. And what was her role?
I think she was kind of an advisor.
Mhm.
She also worked in Castle Zaremba.
Okay.
She got a great kick out of me because we worked with one actor on that show, and he was sort of like, "What's my motivation?" And I said, "So what acting school is this?" She thought that was funny. Method. But anyway, Gladys, Ted, more than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Ted
Ted Conybeare.
is, yeah. Mhm.
Do you remember what the pitch was to you from your agent when you first got the job? Hey, there's this new TV show. There's this new children's show. Do you want to come and be a part of it? Do you remember what that pitch was to you? Or
No,
work was work?
just that it was, work was work.
Yeah.
Look, you're trying to make a living. You don't know what your next gig will be. You don't know how you're going to pay the rent. Nobody to turn to. So if a job that sounded right came along, I was there.
Mm.
And nobody had to ask me if I'd like to. Of course I would.
Now, you mentioned that Ted was pretty particular in the
He's
instruction.
very particular.
What kind of instruction would he give you on how to host the show? What kind of pointers would he give you? No slang. What else?
Just pretty well stick to the script because he took great care to see the scripts were written properly.
Right.
So I was always good at memory.
Mm.
So I did memorize the shows. It was a lot of work, but it was worth it.
What do you
If
remember?
somebody has standards, great,
Mm.
and he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you remember about the set?
Well, the set, anybody who's seen it would remember, there was all blue,
Mm-hmm.
remember that, and the door, and whatever day that was, if it was Animal Day,
Right.
then the little guinea pigs and this
Yeah.
and that stuff. I think I liked Imagination Day.
Mm. Yeah. That's when Polkaroo came out. That's why you liked it. Because you were feeling sorry for that guy in that heated outfit.
Yeah. But can't give you details except that it was exactly as you saw it on TV. and nice atmosphere. Herbie Helbig was the pianist to begin with.
Right.
And he was a friend of mine. I'd done a show called Love Times 3, and he was the pianist.
Wow.
So I knew him quite well. And he was lovely, lovely.
Were you aware that the show was an adaptation of the BBC show Play School when you did it? Or had you kind of been debriefed on the history of how...
No.
So...
Didn't know that.
Was there anything uniquely Canadian about Polka Dot Door? And what made it Canadian? Aside from that it was produced in Canada, was there anything that was done that went out of the way to, this is a Canadian show?
I don't think so. I think we just played it straight, talking to the kids and making it accessible, and Canadians who were hosting it, you know, so nothing particularly Canadian.
Do you remember anything about how the show was shot? I believe it was a multiple camera operation, 2 or 3 cameras.
Yeah.
Do you remember anything about going into rehearsals prior to?
I don't know, darling. It was such a, like, we do 5 shows in a week.
That's right.
So it was like you just had to focus on all the stuff, the songs, and all that kind of thing that you're going to do, working out the moves. And so, you know, I can't say very much about that.
Do you remember?
It was hard work. Good work, though.
Do you remember how many weeks you hosted?
Altogether.
Altogether, yeah. If you were to guess. 5 episodes in a week.
20, 25.
Really?
Perhaps.
So 25 episodes total?
I think so.
Wow. So that would have been 5 weeks.
I remember I was offered The Boyfriend, the musical, out west. And I also had an offer from Polka Dot Door.
Oh, okay.
I sat with my agent saying, what do we do? I don't know. I said, I hate not to do Polka Dot Door. But of course The Boyfriend, fabulous musical, and the guy who was directing it said, you're Maggie Smith, only you can sing. I didn't do it. I took Polka Dot Door.
We're so glad you did.
Me too.
When was your what was the first year you did Polka Dot Door?
I think it was 73, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
73. And would have you done just a week per year in the subsequent years, like you would have done it between 73 and 77, 78?
73 and, yeah, probably, yeah.
And would your, I know that they rotated those episodes a lot, so did you remember seeing yourself on TV when you would go home and...
Sometimes.
Yeah?
Sometimes. I wish I had copies of those.
I know. It would be great to find those
To
episodes.
see, to let my little nieces and
Yes,
nephews
that'd be
see
wonderful.
them.
Do you, were you recognized by people?
Oh, all
Tell
the
us about
time.
that.
Oh, so often. I remember walking up Yonge Street, across St. Clair, and there was a group, a family with little kids. And I was standing there, looked in a window, and I saw this little kid, this big, looking at me. And I looked at the child, and it came running towards me and threw her arms around my legs. And I said,
Aww.
do you watch the Polka Dot Door? Yes, I do. I said, oh, I'm so glad to see you. Do you like polka? Yes. Do you like marigold? I love marigold, etc., etc. But they just would always lift my spirits. I remember I was at the airport, and this little kid, this little girl saw me. And she came over and said, you're in the Polka Dot Door. I said, I'm Nonnie. Yes, I know. And she started to jump up and down. She was so excited. Polka Dot Door. And I was feeling a bit depressed at the time. I thought, you don't know it, honey, but you just made me feel so good.
That's great.
And many times, like
Yes.
I went to Vancouver, and tons of people knew
No
me.
way.
Yeah, and I don't know, all over the place, go to buy something, and they'd say, you look familiar. Oh, did you ever watch Polka Dot Door? Nonnie! Yes.
Isn't that
Somebody
great?
told me, she said, I loved you. She said, I have a Nonnie doll at home
A
that my
Nonnie
mother
doll.
helped me to make. I said, I'd love to see it sometime. She said, okay. So I met her. It looked like a Raggedy Ann doll.
Oh.
I thought it would look like me, blonde.
She just named it Nonnie.
She did.
Oh, isn't that sweet?
Yeah, somebody wrote into TVO to the Polka Dot Door to say, my little boy goes around the house all day saying, Nonnie, 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 Nonnie.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Now, you had mentioned that you worked with a number of male hosts.
Yes.
Who are some of the ones that you remember working with?
Gary Files, I think he was the first one. He's from Australia, charming, lovely,
Gary
lovely.
Files.
Gary Files, I think he went back to Australia. Alex Laurier,
Okay.
tremendous. Dennis Simpson, black,
Mhm.
fabulous. What a dancer, what a performer, Dennis.
Mhm.
Ken John Grant,
Okay.
he wrote some of them actually,
Okay.
and he wrote a lot of the songs.
Super.
And when I was visiting a friend of mine in Greece, and there was somebody who popped in. He was from Australia, so I started to sing him a song from the Polka Dot Door. He thought that was fantastic. Whether the weather be cold or whether be hot, and actually, I was in a supermarket getting some eggs or butter or something, reaching up, and this little kid, Down syndrome, sitting in the buggy, shopping buggy. He said, "Hi, Nonnie." I said, "Hi. What's your name?" "Christopher." "Whether the weather be cold or..." So we sang it together.
No way. Oh, in the supermarket.
Yes, in the supermarket.
Wow. Now, speaking of singing,
Yeah.
you did a record with the Polka Dot Door. Tell us a little bit about your memories of that.
Oh, yes. It's a nice record.
Yes.
Do you have it?
I have a copy.
Ah.
I have a copy. Do you remember the recording sessions and how did that project come about? And
I don't know. Can't
they
remember.
just called you in and they just said, "Hey, Nonnie, we need your voice."
Yes. So who sang on that?
I think Dennis was on it. I think
Yes.
Alex Laurier and Carol Ann Reynolds and
Yes.
Shelley Summers, I want to say, was part of that as well.
Shelley.
Shelley
somebody.
Summers, yeah. Shelley somebody. I think her name might have changed now, but I think it was Summers then.
Oh, was it?
It might have been, yeah.
Sure, it was sweet. Miss Polly had a dolly who was sick, sick, sick. She called to the doctor to be quick, quick, quick.
Keep going. You got this. You got this, Nonnie.
Well, of course I love doing that. I love those songs. Of course, I knew tons. We used to sing at home. That's the thing that kept us going, poor or not. We had an old beat-up piano, and we used to have sing-songs forever. You know, everybody's singing beautiful voices, harmony. Yeah.
Any interesting or funny stories that you remember from working on the show? Is there anything that kind of sticks out above anything else?
Well, the only thing I can remember is I had to make cookies because the kids were, so get some flour. Your mother will get some flour there. You've got 2 cups of flour. All right. Now you've got some butter. Okay. Now you take that flour and you put it in the sieve. Okay. Whoosh. Well, the flour went flying all over me.
Oh dear.
And the cameraman, the camera was tickling. He was laughing so hard. So that's the only funny thing I remember.
That's great.
Yeah.
Do you remember there doing any other merchandising at the time? You know, that you did the record. Was there anything else that they did that they manufactured?
No.
Wasn't the thing back then?
No. They used to do live shows. I think I did a couple of live shows. Yeah, it was fun. Kids loved that show.
Yes. It was a Canadian institution. Like kids across the whole country were raised, and that's what I think is so, what's so amazing about it. Did you sense at the time, though, that you were part of this huge cultural phenomenon? Was it easy to see when you were doing it, or has it been afterward that you've realized it?
After.
Yeah.
You see, we're not made much of. I don't know if the people watching this would know that, but they make a lot of the American actors and what they're doing. But in Canada, we just sort of slip by. But now they see it, see what we've got, what we had. Sure.
And that, that's part of the reason why we want to do interviews like this, is to celebrate and to add value. Because really, you were part of a group of people that educated millions of Canadians. And when you think about all the people, you know, you mentioned people come up and remember you. We think about all the people who are now in their 30s and their 40s, and they're having kids of their own.
Yep.
And the sad thing is that
You don't have Polka
you don't
Dot
have Polka Dot
Door.
Door. You don't. Let alone we don't have your episodes. They're locked away somewhere, right?
I could cry. How could such a thing happen? Do you think they're hidden under something or they don't realize where they are?
Who really knows? It's a bit of a mystery, but you know, hopefully
it's a bit of a shame.
It is. But hopefully, as the years go by, the powers that be will see the value in, you know, even if they made them available online, just some clips and some episodes, so that you could share them with your nieces and nephews. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be super.
Yeah.
Nonnie, thank you so much for this interview, and thank you so much for your contribution to educational television. I know many people watching will know you not only from Polka Dot Door, but from so many stage and theater things. In fact, right before we go, tell us a little bit about your recent stage show that you've been involved with.
Oh, I play Marilyn Monroe. She comes back older and tells the story of her life. It's quite interesting. We did 2 weeks last year at Buddies in Bad Times. We've done 3 shows since. We're doing one in Kitchener. This is 2015. August 23rd, and one show we're doing in New York on Broadway. Just
awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
Isn't it? Just
that's so great.
Marilyn, it's a beautiful character.
Oh, Nonnie, I'm so glad that you're continuing to be so active and that you're adding to your repertoire that so many people have enjoyed through the years. So thank you so much for speaking to me about this, and thank you for your contributions. Thank you for what you did at Polka Dot Door.
Oh, thank you, Travis.
All the best.
Same to you.